Begin transmission. Good morning, Josh and Alfredo. It's nice to have an audience here, especially one with such rapt attention. Today we have something very important to talk about, so this introduction might be a little bit longer. We have been wrestling with some philosophical questions recently in light of our parasitic infections. But before I get into that, I want to tell you about two really fascinating creatures that we've been interacting with over the past few days. The first one here, this is a really beautiful creature that has been hanging around our camp recently, and it seems to live in the woods nearby. This creature we're calling a Margay, or a tree ocelot, and these creatures have, look at those fluffy little paws. They can climb trees almost straight vertically, flip their paws around 180 degrees to climb down the tree. Really remarkable climbers. Their large eyes lets them see in the dark. Their night vision is about 10 times more acute than our own. And these are really remarkable creatures. They're reminiscent of our domesticated cats that we have on Earth, but much larger and much more ferocious, if such a thing as possible. And so these Margays are nocturnal creatures, predators of the arboreal creatures around in the forest, but really a really fascinating animal. The second creature I want to mention to you is a creature we've named her Alice. And Alice is the species is the common name is a tamarin. So Alice is this cute little tamarin, and she began coming around to our camp really just a few days after we landed. We were having a little picnic outside the habitats, and this curious creature wandered over and started investigating our packs and our lunches, and a few of us started giving her little bits of food, which she seemed to thoroughly enjoy. And since then, Alice, we named her Alice. She comes back almost daily to get new food and interact with us, and we've grown to like her quite a bit. She's kind of our camp mascot. Alice has 2 or 3 little babies with her. She usually leaves them back in the forest in their nest. We haven't really located where it is, but somewhere in the forest. We don't really want to bother them too much. But sometimes she brings her little babies with her when she comes and visits us. And these adorable little babies climb on our shoulders, and we feed them a little food. And it's just an overall very wholesome experience for everybody. When Alice comes alone, sometimes we've heard a shrill kind of squeaking from the forest, and whenever Alice hears this, she runs away as quick as she can. So we think that this is the kind of the alarm squall of the little baby tamarin. So whenever they're in danger, they emit this high-pitched shriek, and that tells this very devoted mother tamarin, "My babies are in danger," and so she runs out to rescue them. It seems to be a very, very nice little pleasant family, and like I said, they've kind of become our adopted camp mascots, Alice and her little baby tamarins. Well, the other day, Alice was visiting. She was by herself without her babies. We were feeding her just like normal, and we heard those shrill cries coming from the forest. And just like usual, Alice perked up and shot off in the direction of the cries, but it was right on the edge of the forest, actually. And when she got to the edge of the forest, what was making those cries was not her babies. It was actually the Margay hiding in the bushes, mimicking the alarm call of her offspring, kind of manipulating this very loving maternal instinct to protect her offspring. And so poor Alice, when she ran into the bushes, she did not find her baby. She found a hungry Margay, who promptly ate her alive in front of us. So that was a bit traumatic, surprising, shocking, and Alice is no more. And her babies are no more either. Without their mother to take care of them, they will surely starve. And this tragedy coming so soon after we lost Dr. Mastronomer, and so soon after we've all been infected with parasites, have just kind of transformed the mood of this camp into kind of a sober reflection on the animal life on this planet. When we first got here, everyone was amazed and thrilled, kind of exuberantly, exhilarating, excited to see all these creatures. They were amazing and beautiful. But now they seem a bit darker. There seems to be a really sad, tragic side of nature that makes us feel much more than melancholy. It makes us feel that animals aren't really good, that animals aren't really something that we should be excited to see, maybe. So last night we got into, several members of the crew got into a long, very long philosophical discussion about this. And I'm sure as you get these transmissions on Earth, this discussion is going to be happening on Earth as well. So this is a very significant discussion to have. What is our responsibility to the creatures on this planet? Or not even responsibility, what is our appropriate interaction with these animals? So we had a wide variety of perspectives. Master Sergeant Rush, being from a military background, he doesn't really care for the animals on their own. He just thinks about the safety of humans. So from his perspective, if he was quite attached to Alice, and he wanted to go out and hunt the Margay and kind of exact revenge on that killing. And he may still do so, but I'm trying to get him not to, because from my perspective, the Margay was just doing what Margays do. It wasn't a wicked thing to do for the Margay, but it seems wicked from our perspective, and it is a perfectly natural response for many of us to feel that this was wrong in some respect. So Rush's perspective is, if animals are harmful to humans, we get rid of them. If otherwise, he's ambivalent. Dave, on the other hand, Dave is of the mindset that animals are gross, disgusting, harmful, and useless. And even if they do have some use for us, it doesn't overcome their negative value. So Dave's perspective, he wants us to fire up the fusion engines and just torpedo the whole planet and just start over like we did on Earth with no animal life to speak of. Because really what we're wanting here is space for human population growth and natural resources, again, for human population growth, from Dave's perspective. So Dave doesn't see any intrinsic value in the animal life. He doesn't see any of the Margays or even Alice as being valuable on their own, for their own sake. Similarly, on that side is our engineer. Our engineer, his name, well, he's demanding to be known as Vector these days. That's not his real name, but I think the singular name makes him feel more intimidating. Maybe some kind of engineering inside joke. I don't know. But Vector is a brilliant engineer, and his thought toward animals is that they have no intrinsic value, but rather they are incredibly instrumentally valuable. So he considers the animal life here to be a resource, just like the metals or the wood or the water for humans to use. So if we can use Alice even for something as simple as human enjoyment, then she becomes valuable. If the animal does not have instrumental value to humans, then they have no value at all, and we might as well get rid of them. So Dave is kind of an instrumental value. Vector wants to preserve animal life so that we can use it. Dave thinks, no, I don't want anybody taking my blood. I don't want anybody living in my guts. I don't want anybody killing my mascot. So just get rid of, delete animal life. And Rush was kind of on their side too, thinking we should get rid of animals that are potentially harmful. Otherwise, maybe help them. So on the other side of this debate were Charlie and I, and Isabella, the captain's daughter, although she may have just been on our side because I think her and Charlie have a little romantic thing going on, but we'll talk about that more later, maybe causing some problems. But anyway, Charlie and Isabella and I think differently. We think that animals have intrinsic value on their own. So the Margay and the the Tamarin, the Alice and her babies, even the Ascaris worms that killed Dr. Mastronomer have intrinsic value, and animals are worth preserving, protecting for more than their instrumental purpose for humans. And furthermore, it would be a great tragedy if we came to this earth and came to this planet and did what we did to our home planet and completely eradicated the plant and animal life from it, largely the animal life. The source of my concern and value of animal life is the topic of our next few transmissions, and so what I want you to be thinking about is why animal life is valuable. Why is it not valuable? Is it instrumentally valuable? Is it intrinsically valuable? Because this is a question that you will be facing personally, and society is going to be facing too, right? We have lost the biodiversity on Earth. We have now discovered a place of overwhelming, abundant biodiversity. What do? Are we just this virus in the universe that goes from planet to planet, killing all other life forms? Is that our role? Is our role supposed to be to protect the nice ones and kill the mean ones? So take care of Alice and protect her from Margays. Is our role supposed to be just leave it alone and never interact with it at all? How do we answer these questions? So I want you to be able to be thinking about these questions, because you and your decision making, you're all biologists coming to this planet. You need to be able to justify your existence. Why should you be a part of this this next wave of colonists? And how are you going to convince funding agencies that taxonomy and classification and studying biodiversity is a worthwhile thing to do? Secondly, even if for non-biologists, maybe you're a pharmacy, you want to go into pharmacy or something like that. Every individual is going to be faced with this question, because this is a question that society is facing, and every individual, their actions are going to be influenced by their thinking, and how they influence others is going to be influenced by their thinking. So we are all kind of epicenters of these ripple effects in our culture. How we talk about animals, how we value animals, doesn't just affect us and our little vocation or job, but how we talk about and think about it and interact with animals influences our kids and our family and our peers, our friends, and that's how cultures are formed. So if we want to be a culture that values animal life, or we want to be a culture that exploits animal life, then you personally need to make a decision about how you view animal life, and then you need to communicate that to yourself and to others. So this is a significant question. This is a question without easy answers, and I'm certainly not going to tell you what to think. All I can do is tell you kind of my own journey, my own wrestling with this question, because there really are no easy answers, and I can't tell you one way is right and one way is wrong necessarily. So I want you to wrestle with these yourself and think through logically, rationally, what is the best path to take. Late in the night, the conversation became a little more in conflict, because really when we burrow down to the foundation of why I value life intrinsically and why Vector or Dave don't, it is really a religious foundation. And so I am a Christian, a member of an ancient religion that dates back thousands and thousands of years, and this Christian perspective is why I think animals are valuable. And if Vector doesn't believe in a God, and so that there's conflict there at the very foundation between our philosophies. So what I would like to do here is kind of present my environmental ethic very, very briefly, very concisely, and communicate why I believe in that there is a creator, why I believe in the specific creator that Christianity describes, and then how that religious foundation influences how I think we should treat nature and how we should value nature. There will be two parts to this. Both parts will be fairly short, But the two parts, in the first part, I'll kind of explain my personal motivation, why I believe that there is a loving God, and introduce a concept called Trinitarian ecology, which is kind of the way I think about how nature should be based on my belief in a Trinitarian God. And in the second half of the lecture, we really discuss the problem of natural evil. Why are there Margays that manipulate mothers to eat them? Why are there parasites that invade our intestines and kill us? Why are there pandemics and viruses and death and destruction? Why, if God is loving, did He let animals go extinct? And why is there so much pain and suffering for humans and for animals throughout history and throughout the present world? So that's the second half of the lecture. So first half, Trinitarian ecology. Second half, we'll talk about the concepts of harmony and autonomy as kind of a way to think about the problem of natural evil.